Hello guys, welcome to the second part of the video. In the last part I talked about 5 things that I like about the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650, and in this part I'm going to talk about the 5 things that I dislike about this motorcycle. So number 1 would be the throttle response. Now I have a Powertronic on with a free flow exhaust and a free flow intake, and that has improved the throttle response by a lot. But in the stock configuration, the throttle response is really laggy, and you would definitely notice this if you're coming from another bike of a similar performance profile or higher. You may not notice it if you're coming from a smaller engined motorcycle. Now, this bike has the performance, whatever the numbers tell you, right, for the 650cc engine, but the throttle response gives it a feel that it doesn't respond so well to your inputs. And I think part of that may be deliberate to not scare bikers who are coming from smaller bikes, to make it a little more approachable for them, make them less scared to twist the throttle on this one. Or it could be a side effect of the emissions regulations, that they have had to meet, that the throttle response is so laggy. So in stock configuration, that kind of kills the fun that you can have from this motorcycle. And at least a Powertronic and a free flow exhaust and intake, I think they are quite necessary to solve that problem. Of course, some people also change the throttle tube, the thing that the cable's attached to give a quicker response from the grip. But it's more than just the mechanical cable part, it's also something to do with the ECU, perhaps, that doesn't respond as quickly as you would like it to. So yeah, that was number 1. Number 2 is the performance. Now in the earlier part where I talked about things I like about the motorcycle, I said that I really like the engine. It's got good performance for what it is, yes. But what I mean is, yes, it's a 650cc engine, an old style air-cooled engine, which produced relatively less power than a modern liquid-cooled 650cc would, and that's fine. But I think they could have had a larger displacement engine. If you look at the old 70s Interceptors from Royal Enfield, those were 700cc's, I think, right? So they actually went down in displacement. Of course, I agree that a modern, even an old styled, air-cooled, but modern production of a 650 would produce more power than a 700cc from the 70s. But I think they could have gone for like at least a 750 or 800cc motor, and given it a little more oomph, with the Powertronic, by the way, it's much better. So the Powertronic and the free flow intake and exhaust, it performs quite a bit better. It goes when you want it to. Stock form, it's still good, but doesn't quite thrill you after a while, especially if you're coming from something similar or higher in performance. Like I came from a Harley Sportster 883. This was similar in performance and even little better in some ways. But again, it did not have that initial torque that a Harley does. It kind of, gives you a kick every time you press the throttle. So, yeah, that was missing. And after a while, you may feel that you're getting a little bored from the performance of this motorcycle. It may not entertain you as much after a while. So that was number 2, the performance. Not a big negative, but it could have been better, is what I'm saying. Okay, number 3, this is a big one. The comfort. This is not a very comfortable motorcycle to ride, especially for longer distances. The stock seat is really, it's just for looks. It's too soft, you sink in, and after an hour or two, your butt starts to get numb. Now they also sell an aftermarket touring seat, which is a little firmer. It looks the same, but a little firmer. And I won't go into the details right now because these topics are already discussed by me and others, in more detail. This is more of a summary video, right? So, yeah. The seats are no good. And I also feel that the riding position is not that comfortable. You can, of course, get aftermarket seats, handlebars, and whatnot to try and improve it. And I also have an aftermarket Sahara seat and this handlebar from the Art of Motorcycles. The seat is more comfortable, yes. I'm not going to go into the details of the handlebar right now, but the thing is, it's still not a very comfortable riding position. Yes, the seat is definitely a lot more comfortable for my butt, but overall the riding position, yeah, it's still not that great for me. And also, although there are a lot of options on the market for seats and handlebars, how do you know which one would be right for you until you buy one and try it on? So that can get expensive, with that trial and error, unless you have friends who have other configurations and you get to try them out before buying one yourself. So that makes it a little difficult to find the right setup that works for you. Of course, I did say in the positives video, it's a very versatile bike. You can customize it heavily depending on your needs, but figuring out the right changes that you need to make, that can be difficult, time consuming and potentially expensive. So that was number 3, the comfort and the riding position. That's not ideal. For some people it may be, but for a lot of people it isn't. Number 4 would be the handling. Now I know this may be just me and a few others. I think for most people the handling is good enough, but for me, I can't really say what's wrong with it. Maybe it's because of the riding position that I don't quite feel comfortable, pushing the bike. So that's something that I have noticed. I don't know what the reason is, like I said. So it's a relatively minor thing for me. And as you get more used to the bike, of course, you get more comfortable with its dynamics. And you can push it more, But yeah, for me, somehow, maybe it's the grip from the tires, the steering configuration. Really, I can't tell what it is, but somehow I don't feel very comfortable handling this bike, pushing it. I mean, I can go fast on this bike, yes, but the braking and the cornering somehow makes me a little nervous. Of course, it could be just my skills, and it's quite possible. I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm a very skilled rider, but I have a few other bikes, Before this one, I had the Sportster, which is, of course, not known to be a great handler in any way. I also had the KTM Duke, the Versys 1000 now. And they somehow feel better, in terms of their handling. So the final thing that I don't like about this motorcycle would be, now this is something that probably only applies to India, not other countries, and that would be the dealerships of Royal Enfield. Now I think it has improved a lot since I got the bike back in 2019, but it's something that it depends on which dealer you go to. Some are better than others. But the thing is, as a motorcycling enthusiast, especially if you're coming from some of the more premium brands, at least in India, Royal Enfield dealers won't give you the same level of support. And I'm not going to go into the details exactly. I have talked about that again in other videos, because this is otherwise this would be too long, I mean, for example, in my positives part, the likes part, I talked about this engine needing valve clearance checks at every service or every 10,000 kilometers, right? But most dealers don't do that. They say it's not needed. Of course, if the manufacturer says it's needed, they're the ones who designed the thing. It's needed. How can the dealers say it's not needed? And of course, they say that just because it's not an easy thing for them to do, the valve clearance check. So they just avoid doing it. And it's not something I'm saying. I do most of our maintenance myself. If you look at the online forums for the Royal Enfield 650 Twins, that's a common complaint. The dealers say that the valve clearance check is not needed. And in general, I have been to a few dealer workshops. You see the mechanics there handling the bikes, not all of them, at least in some of the dealers. You just don't feel comfortable giving them your prized possession and walking away, Of course, I think it's just an India problem, because in India, Royal Enfield has a different status, for lack of a better word. They are kind of mass market, with their 350s. So most of the customers are not motorcycling enthusiasts. The majority of them are not. So they don't really understand motorcycles so well. For them, it's just another vehicle. So if you are a motorcycling enthusiast, go to any of the niche or upmarket brands where most of the customers are enthusiasts. You see a stark difference in the attitude of the dealers between those upmarket brands and Royal Enfield. Now, Royal Enfield, even though these 650s are quite affordable in India, I would still consider them to be upmarket motorcycles. The price shouldn't be the only factor that decides, What I mean is, if you are an enthusiast, you would like your dealer to treat you that way and take care of your motorcycle in a way where you feel confident in their handling of the motorcycle. Now, granted, I think in general the dealers have improved quite a lot over the last few years, since the number of enthusiast riders have increased in comparison to the general commuter category of riders. And I recently went to one of the dealers, and the experience was much better than what I had seen, say 2 or 3 years earlier. So, alright guys, that's all I had. The 5 things I dislike about the Interceptor 650, and also the 5 things I like about the bike. See that video if you haven't. Alright then, this is Volatile 42 signing off. Ride safe and stay safe out there. Catch you on the next one. Bye bye.